Hey guys, it's Chris from Steeda, and today we're here at Florida International Rally Motorsports Park, otherwise known as the Firm, with our Q350 EcoBoost, and Taylor from Hawk Performance. So tell us a little bit why we're here.
So we're here to test some of our great track products. We've got 3 different compounds that are pretty popular in the grassroots motorsport arena. So we'll be testing DTC 30, DTC 60, and DTC 70, all paired with our Talon cross-drilled and slotted rotors.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're really excited to get this thing rolling, so let's get to it. In the previous video, we covered Hawk's street product line, but we needed to step it up a notch because on their track products, Steeda just wasn't cutting it. We needed to up the ante, bring this Q350 EcoBoost to the Firm to really get those rotors and pads up to proper temperature for track spec. Speaking of street pads and making that switch to track pads, Taylor, at what point would someone want to make that switch?
So a street pad really won't offer the same coefficient of friction and temperature and fade resistance that you'll need on a track. So as soon as a driver wants to take their vehicle to a serious track day event or an HPDE, they really need to look at our track materials just for the ultimate coefficient of friction, ultimate temperature capacity, and just extreme fade resistance.
So you're saying that if someone has an HPS 5.0 on their car, probably isn't the best idea to run that at a dedicated track event?
Exactly. It's definitely geared towards some, performance street usage.
And that's what we're going to test here today. On this Q350 EcoBoost, we currently have the Hawk Talon rotors paired with the HPS 5.0 pads. Now that's a street pad, definitely not at home here on the track, but the point is we want to get these brakes super hot up to track temperatures to showcase the brake fade that's going to happen when you run a street pad out on track. So Taylor, tell us a little bit more about the brake pads we're going to be testing today.
So like you mentioned, we are going to start with the HPS 5.0. So being a street pad, we're going to demonstrate what kind of happens when you use a street pad on track. And then moving up, we're going to go through our DTC product line, starting with 30, moving on to 60s and 70s. Each time you move up in that hierarchy, it takes more energy, more heat to really use that brake effectively, which kind of varies, on track needs, driver skill, and also the vehicle setup.
All right, so as that driver skill gets better, they may want a more aggressive pad.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. As you've seen on the video for the Hawk Performance Street lineup on our channel, there are 2 key attributes that they focus on when it comes to street performance: brake noise and dust. How do the track pads compare?
So all of our track compounds are going to have an increase in dust and noise. But one thing that's key to notice is as they get hotter, that noise and dust will be reduced. So typically a cold track pad will be noisier and dustier. So it's a good indicator that you're in the right operating range.
And that makes total sense because on the racetrack, you're really not focusing on dust and noise. You want to get your car stopped, whereas the street, you need to have that balance of comfort level and stopping power. So let's talk about how we're going to do this test. For the HPS 5.0, we're going to do 1 lap, basically getting everything to normal street operating temperature. And then Jamie will do the 60 to 0 test. We'll measure that. That's our benchmark. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get some hot laps, get these HPS 5.0 pads quite hot, up to track temperature, and show how much brake fade there is between the first stop and the second stop once those pads are up to track temperature. I should mention that for this particular test, we swapped out the G2s for some more competition-worthy tires, the Nitto NTO1s. It's a 315 square on this setup. And if you're looking for any more info on this car in terms of what parts are installed, check out the Project Vehicle build page, the link's in the description. And for the track pad brake test, we'll get the pads installed in the car, do 3 hot laps, get everything up to track temperature, and then once Jamie hits those set of 2 cones, that'll tell him when to stop, and then we'll have a series of cones from 80 feet all the way to 130 feet, showing you how quickly that car comes from 60 miles an hour to a complete stop. So we have a lot to get to today. We're really excited to get this car out on the track and test some brake pads. Taylor, what do you think?
I think it's going to be really, like you said, a fantastic day here, showcasing all Steeda's performance offerings, taking advantage of these wide NTO1s, and then showing the differences in all the different track offerings we have.
So for those of you who are wondering which track pad from Hawk Performance is for me, well, this is the video for you, so keep on watching.
Hey, this is Jamie from Steeda Autosports, and we are at the firm today testing brake pads with Hawk Performance.
So we're gonna go ahead and head out and do 2 medium pace laps and 2 cool down laps on DTC 30s.
So what Jamie and Taylor are essentially doing is taking the Q350 EcoBoost out with the DTC 30 pads on to bed them properly out on track. The reason why you bed these brake pads out on track is because this is the natural habitat that these track pads will be in. What needs to happen is the material from the pad needs to be properly transferred onto the rotor in order for optimal brake engagement when you're out there racing. This particular procedure is a bit tougher to perform out on the street because you really can't get up to track speeds, legally at least. So you really need to get to your local track and properly bed these brakes in. Hawk's website states that after reaching a medium speed, you engage the brake pedal to slow the car down without coming to a complete stop. You raise the pedal quickly and do not drag the brakes. You need to repeat this 4 or 5 times, essentially a couple laps at the firm. Then, at higher speeds, engage the brake pedal to slow the car without coming to a complete stop. You raise the pedal quickly, don't drag the brakes, and repeat this 5 times, again, a lap or 2 at the firm. At near race speed, engage the brake pedal to slow the car without coming to a complete stop. Raise the pedal quickly and do not drag the brakes. Repeat this 3 times, and allow a few seconds between brake engagements while the car is in motion. Again, do not bring the car to a complete stop.
These already feel better than the HPS.
That's great. Feel them coming up as the temps go up. Each stop as they get hotter, you can feel the coefficient of friction increase.
To add on to what Taylor's saying, track pads operate at a much higher optimal temperature than street pads do. That's why street pads aren't necessarily home on track, as you saw with the HPS 5.0 and the brake fade test we did earlier.
They really feel the difference from a track pad to a street pad.
Even at the colder temperatures, they still have more initial bite.
With the HPS 5.0 pad out on track where it wasn't necessarily at home, there was a 15-foot difference just in 1 lap, showing that those higher pad temperatures definitely attribute to some brake fade.
How's the modulation feel?
The modulation is really good compared to the HPS pads.
Modulation and control are going to be a lot easier with these track pads, especially as you progress through the lineup. As the pad temperatures rise, you're going to have a lot more confidence in hitting that brake pedal as you enter the turn, in comparison to a street pad where those pad temperatures are just getting too high, you're going to experience brake fade.
Yeah, as the temperature's coming up, the bite's increasing, they feel really good.
They're really getting into that sweet spot of the temperature zone, a couple laps in.
Speaking of optimal temperature range, later in the video we'll analyze all the optimal temperature ranges of these pads as you progress through the DTC lineup.
Yeah, they have a really good pedal feel.
It really shows you what a track pad will do moving from a street pad.
Yeah, you have a lot more confidence with the with using the brakes compared to the HPS. Going deeper into a brake zone.
That's exactly what you need. Repeatable performance, inspiring confidence, focus on driving. Really feel you're using all the grip you can get out of these Nitto NT1s.
Oh yeah.
If you're on the fence about making the jump from a street pad to a dedicated track pad, keep watching the rest of this video so you can see the real advantages you're going to get making that jump so you can brake a lot deeper into those corners.
All right, let's let them cool off for a lap now and get back to them after they sit for about 30 minutes and see what they feel like after lunch.
Sounds great.
Wow, long day here at the firm, but we had an absolute blast. Hawk Performance came out here. We really learned a lot about brake pads on our Q350 EcoBoost, so let's dive into the details. So first things first, the DTC 30, Hawk's entry-level track pad for what we tested here today. The front rotor temperature came out to an average of 612 degrees, and the average braking distance amongst all of our stops came out to 102 feet. So Taylor, what do you think about those?
Yeah, I think the pad performed about how we anticipated, but what we really learned here was that DTC 30 isn't quite the best option for the front of this car. You know, based off the weight, just roughly over 3,600 pounds, and also the great driving ability of Jamie, who we had driving the vehicle, and then the firm is a very brake-intensive track. So overall, I think we learned a lot here, but just learned that that's not the right compound for the front.
So moving on to the next pad, we changed the front to a DTC 60, but left the rear a DTC 30, so it was more stable under braking. The numbers came out to an average of 599 degrees on the front, with the braking distance average 94 feet. Taylor, what do you think?
I think, you know, this is clearly a step in the right direction. Just like I said earlier, with the weight of the vehicle, the speeds at this track and the driver's ability, I think we're right on the right direction. It's a great improvement over DTC 30.
Awesome, so let's up the ante. We changed the front to a DTC 70 and the rear bumped it up to keep things even to a DTC 60. That came out to 628 degrees in the front from a whopping 82 feet from the average across all of our stops with the DTC 70 up front. Impressive numbers. Taylor?
Yeah, like you said, impressive numbers, they don't lie. It's clearly a sweet combination for this car. It's perfect for the track, you know, weight of the vehicle and the driver's ability.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And all in all, I mean, obviously the 70 front, 60 rear works for us on this car at this track with this weight and driver skill, but it may not be the same for you. The best thing is Hawk Performance has a ton of different brake pad offerings. Obviously, we're testing them here at the track. So be sure to pick up your next set of pads right here at Steeda.com. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We had a blast out here with Hawk Performance. Taylor, thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having us.
And a special thanks to Noto Tire as well for helping us out with this video, and the firm for hosting us on this awesome track day as well. Drop us a comment below and let us know which Hawk Performance pad you're running on your Mustang, or if you have any questions on which pad is best for your particular application. Throw us a like and subscribe if you want to see more cool Ford and Mustang content. And don't forget the most important thing, speed matters.